What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Gloss Garage, where we make detail simple. My name is Doc, and today I have something special for you all. So here we will be reviewing the Picture Perfect Polish from Jimbos, and here I have I forgot what year it is. I'll put it down below in the description, but we have a Kia Soul. It does have a bunch of swirls, a bunch of scratches. It does go through the car wash, and we will be doing a one-step paint correction. But I've used this once before on a different vehicle on pretty much just 2 to 3 panels. It really wasn't swirled up or anything, so it did very, very good. Now, this will be a test on the amount of swirls and scratches that this vehicle has on its cutting capabilities and finishing capabilities, and we'll be doing that test on the hood alone only. And also with Jimbos Picture Perfect Polish, she states that if you wipe off the polish residue the same way you would with any other polish, except of course I'm not going to be using the damp rinseless towel. I'm just going to wipe it off, make sure I wipe everything clean, and then apply ceramic coating on one half of the vehicle, and then on the other half I'm going to do my regular panel prep and of course the rest of the vehicle. Now this vehicle will be getting a ceramic coating just because I just want to see on how this will last in on how the coating will last on a section where we apply the ceramic coating and we didn't apply panel prep. And yes, so that is pretty much it. Now this video, I don't want to say it's a sponsored video because my main review is on the Jimbos Picture Perfect Polish. I am not sponsored by Jimbos whatsoever, but I will be using the DIY detail polisher and a couple of tools and ceramic coatings, whatever, from the House of Rags. So if you want to purchase anything, just use code DMS at checkout at the House of Rags. This is my first time using this DIY detail polisher as well. So I'm not really going to make a dedicated review into another video because I like to use stuff at least once or twice before I give my verdict on how things really does work. So yeah, that's about it. That's enough talking. I'm going to prep everything off screen, and I will see you once we're ready to start polishing. Contamination step is complete and nice squeaky clean. We clayed it, and of course there are still some etchings here. We just use a DIY detail water spot remover. We didn't use Ragnarok yet, but I would just want to see how it works on removing the etchings and how well it can actually cut. And that's pretty much it. If not, I may step up to Ragnarok, which is an acid that way to help really remove most of those etchings. And hopefully in the camera you can see some of these scratches, swirls, and stuff everywhere. There's a deep scratch right there. So all we're gonna do is a quick test spot so all of you can see. And what Jimbo says in his video says you can use it however you want. Damp towel, damp pad, no damp pad, whatever the case may be. You just have to be sure in using the correct amount of polish on your thing. So this is DA polisher and cutting pad. I would want to say I'm doing a one step, so it is a yellow waffle pad. So I'm going to do the 4 dots and use speed setting 4 to 5 in a crosshatch pattern. So that is what I'm using. I'm not really doing anything for finishing, so this will be pretty much my step. And you all can pause the video so you can see what it is, but I am going to apply 4 dots of product. I already shook this off screen, so no need to. There it is, 4 dots. And on camera, I am going to just do this little section right here, because of course you don't want to go too big of a section because we are trying to get as much defect removal as possible, but also in one step. So if I was to extend this way longer than it needs to be, then it will be much more work, and you're not really going to get a true cut and capability. So I'm dabbing this out. I don't know if this is diminishing abrasive or not, so I am just going to spread the product out. So that is what I'm doing, and now I'm gonna go to speed setting 4 or 5. I'm going to do speed setting 4 because this bad boy does have a lot of torque, and let's get it started. All right, so I did my typical 4 suction passes. That is what I'm used to doing with all polishes. And again, this is a 1-step, so we're not going for perfection. All I'm really concerned about is, did it remove the water spots, and also the amount of correction that we got. In terms of wipe off, it's a little bit, again, the speed setting 4, you saw me use 4 dabs. It's a little bit harder, maybe I did overwork, but in terms of just using a little bit of elbow grease, it comes off just easily, so no issues on that. It's probably because I'm using a damp pad, which pretty much all polishes, if you use a damp pad, it will dry up a little bit quicker because we are adding a little bit of moisture in there. But in terms of wipe off, as you can see, it is fairly easy. So no issues on that. In terms of the water, wow. In terms of the water spot etchings, I didn't think it was gonna remove, but it did remove those water spot etchings. I do have a little bit of a haze, kind of, so I may need to finish this down. But yeah, so that is what we got in a 1-step. It just looks cherry red. Look, this is all before. All those scratches, swirls, hopefully you can see that, water spots. Look at all that stuff right there. 2 clean, wow, polished paint. Tiny bit of haze, nothing crazy, but wow, that did a great job. Look at that. Let me bring you off the tripod so I could bring you in even closer. So yeah, so look at all these scratches, swirls. That's what we had. And this is where we're at. We removed practically 70% of the swirls and scratches. Now in terms of some deeper etchings, they may remain, even some of the scratches, but that is just fine. The only thing is I do have a tad bit of haze, and that is just because, as I said, we went from speed, we were using it on speed setting 4, and yeah, so wow, we did a fantastic job with just that. So on this half, I'm gonna do a 2-step. The whole hood's getting a 2-step just to clear things up. So I am going to do a 2-step, and let's see on when I use a wool pad on how it works and how does it react with the paint. So grab whatever wool pad of your choice. I'm going to be using the DIY Detail wool pad, and the same process applies. Let me just fast forward this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm putting a little bit more on the wool pad because the wool tends to absorb more of the polish. So I am being a lot more heavy-handed. And I am going to go ahead and cut. All right, everyone, so as you saw, I did apply a lot more of polish just because of the simple fact that it is a wool pad and the wool fibers tend to absorb a little bit more of that polish residue. So I just did 3 section passes, you know, 1 up and down, left and right, and up and down, and that is pretty much it. And of course, it did get a little bit more translucent because the wool pad, again, absorbs most of the polish. But the results, it did cut out all of those defects, which you will see here in a little bit on how everything was removed. And yeah, so let's get started on that. All right, so that is with the wool pad right there. And what I'm going to do is just do the wool pad all over, and then I will be ready to do the you know, the 1 step to show the gloss finish, the 2nd step to see how everything looks afterwards. In terms of the defect removal, to me, the foam pad did a phenomenal job. Pretty much almost looks the same, a little bit more haze, of course, with the wool pad, but yeah, it took out a lot of those swirls, scratches, and of course those water spots. So let me see you all once I'm done polishing. Once we finish the cutting step with the wool pad on the entire hood, we move on to the second step. Now, I am using still the gold standard waffle pad, and I did use 3 drops like Jimbo says on his instructions for the finishing step. Now, I didn't use a super soft finishing pad because the wool pad did leave its own defects behind, you know, the wool marks and haze, and I wanted to remove that, and I just used this on the speed setting 3 instead, like 2.5 to 3 on the DIY detail polisher, and I did do a larger section, and you will see here once I'm done polishing, you will see that I'll bring the light in and you'll see all those sick marks on the left half and how nice and cherry red the right side looks. Now the hood was the only section of the vehicle that ended up getting a 2-step. I will show you the passenger side where we did a 1-step, and we found out that if we use it on speed setting 3 for the 1-step before blobs of polish, it was more than enough to really give a nice cut and a decent finish. And this vehicle does have, it is soft clear, so yeah, but it ended up doing a great job in removing those stuff. So I will show you that clip, and then stay tuned for the outro for a bonus clip where I do show me using Jimbos Picture Perfect Polish on this super oxidized Honda Civic. So here's a quick clip of me just using the light on my iPhone, and you'll see that the wool marks did leave its slight defects behind, and of course the haze behind. And as I pan over to the right where we did the 2-step, it's a very nice cherry red look. So yes, it does work phenomenally well as a 2-step. But one thing to note is that we are trying to maximize the cut and finish in 1 step. And on the passenger side, we just use speed setting 3 with 4 drops of Jimbo's Picture Perfect Polish, and you'll see that yes, we still left a bit of defects behind, like light swirls and scratches, but we did leave a much better gloss and no haze. So here is the clip. So this is a clip of the area that we haven't polished yet whatsoever. Look at all those swirls, scratches, and of course little watermarks. And over on the right side, this is what we ended up getting. So yes, we did leave a little bit of swirls and scratches behind. That is perfectly normal, but in terms of gloss, it's much better, less of a haze, and this is what we're going for in a 1-step. So yeah, that is pretty much what we ended up getting. And as you can see here, even on the quarter bumper, it's even worse, but overall it did a great job as a 1-step. All right, everyone, so we're up to the ceramic coating part. Now, this part of the video isn't necessarily about talking and how to apply ceramic coating. This is mainly about Jimbo's Picture Perfect Polish and how he says that, you know, you're able to ceramic coat on top of his polish. Now, the whole hood is already panel prepped. Everything else is already panel prepped and coated. I just want to show you all that I am not trying to skew anything in terms of the results to test. So what I am going to do is just a quick section. You know what? I'm just going to polish this section so I don't have to, you know, recoat the side fenders. I'm just going to do this part of the hood and see how well the coating lasts there over time. Now, I am just using a few drops because it doesn't necessarily say how many, but I'm just going to use that much. It's just a very tiny section anyways, so it shouldn't be too much. And I will be using this on speed setting for finishing pad on speed setting 3. This does have a lot of torque, so I'll probably just use speed setting 2. The whole point of this, I'm not really trying to correct or finish. This is mainly just using the abrasives that Picture Perfect Polish has, and we will see how it reacts with the ceramic coating that I'm. I said, I'm not here trying to correct anything or anything of that sort. It's just applying the polish, using the pad in itself, and just wiping off, and then applying the DIY detail 5-year coating right on just this little U or lip and see if it holds up. And polish wipes off just fine on this section. And as I said, everything else is already panel prepped, so I am not worried about everything else. This just goes to show that I am not skewing anything in terms of, you know, oh, you know, a bit of overspray of panel prep. I don't want to hear none of that stuff. So yeah. So I'm going to flip this to a new side. So as you can see, this side is already saturated and used. This side is completely brand new and clean. It's not even wet, the yellow side. So I left that like that. So it is time to apply the coating. So what I am going to do first is I'm going to apply the coating on the panel prep side first, just because I know this is completely bare and clean. All in, right up in here. And the Picture Perfect Polish did a great job. Look at how shiny and glossy the entire paint is. So it just did a great job. Can't complain. So there is no polish residue, as you see, and I am going to apply more polish on here. I said more polish, more coating. I'll bring you all in. Bam, that is more coating right there, as you see. And I am just going to coat this whole half of the section, just so that way, even if slight little polishing, I'm not worried about this. This is just a true test. The main portion that we did was just this middle part. And we are going to just apply it as such. And same thing, give it about 30 seconds, even coverage. And make sure you have even coverage with any coating that you're using. There we go. And just give it about 10 seconds or so. Another 10, 15 seconds. And that is it. When I apply coatings, I like to turn off the AC in here, so it's still cool. I do have some insulation on the rooftop, so it stays cool inside the garage for a lot longer, but then, you know, after a while it does get really, really humid in here. It feels cool, but humid. After about that, that is what we're doing. We gave it about 30 seconds or so and ready to level off the coating. But overall, that is it. I will see all of you on the outro. Alrighty everyone, so hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Yes, it's a different outro. I had to re-record the outro because that outro is corrupted, just like the CSI one. So I am doing the outro again. So pretty much what is my experience with Jimbo, and this is pretty much a blessing and a curse because I ended up using this 2 more times, and as you can see here, I am down to here. So now it's a total of 4 uses I've used Jimbos Picture Perfect Polish. And I must say, in terms of the section that I did with the Kia Soul and applying a ceramic coating on that section, it is still going strong a couple weeks later. We just have to give it time to see whether the panel prep side versus the polish side lasts a bit longer. Just like anything else, if you're going to use this as your final panel prep or Rupes Uno Pure, stuff like that, you really want to make sure you wipe off the polish residue perfectly, because if you leave a layer of polish residue, what's going to happen is you will hinder the performance of the coating, and that is pretty much the nature of the beast with anything in that aspect. So yeah, so what is the downside for this? So this cuts pretty good. I put this up there, I guess, with Endgame. It cuts good with Endgame. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is the wipe off. The wipe off does get a little bit tacky and it's easy to overwork. So you'll be using a lot more product on this aspect. It's just, as you saw the clip with the Kia, I was wiping, I was just like, okay, it's probably just the key. I probably overworked it, probably because it's like damp pad. Maybe it is the damp pad that I'm using or the way I polish, but it just for 3 section passes, and you saw the big globs that I was using 4 dots. It was still a little bit finicky to wipe off. Now, I did use this on a Honda Civic that was super oxidized, and I had to mix it up with the gold standard polish from DIY Detail to get more of that work time, because it was just drying up too quick, and oxidation, of course, absorbs more polish oils and stuff like that a lot quicker. So I needed something to combat the drying aspect. So I had to, instead of applying this and wasting all of this, I would apply gold standard polish to help aid with more lubrication. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Now I will be doing a comparison. I have System 1 up there, but System 1 comes in like this small bottle, 8-ounce bottle, just like CSI CeramX. I don't want to make a comparison between these two because this one cuts a lot better and a lot quicker. And System 1 is the best comparison in terms of this aspect. And obviously Jimbo did work with Tom to help, I guess, develop their Picture Perfect Polish, or Jimbo's Picture Perfect Polish. So I can't wait to, you know, test out and use System 1 a lot more. And once that video comes out, I will give you my verdict. Now, if I was to choose between these two in a nutshell, I would, for me personally, I like CeramX polish. To me, the work time is a bit longer, even if I'm using a damp pad, and it cuts stronger. This may finish a little bit better on softer clears, because this one on soft clear coat, this is really meant for like harder clears. So that is something to take note of. That's why I am going to compare System 1, because this is going to finish a lot nicer on softer clears, System 1 versus CeramX polish. So just stay tuned with that. And yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed the video. I will put the link down below where to get Jimbo's Picture Perfect Polish if you want to get it. But all in all, as I said, I've used this a couple times, even on the damp pad, the wipe off on this Lexus that we did, my wife and I. It's the same thing. The work time isn't really there. You're going to be using a lot more polish than usual. And that is, again, probably because we use a damp pad to polish. But that's it. If you're looking for work time, for me, this isn't it. And that is pretty much it on that video. So hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Yes, it cuts. Yes, it finished, as you saw there before. And that is all I could say. So I will see you all on the next one.